And asked me if I'm scared of dogs. So I said yes. So he told me to overcome my fear and get close to the dog if I want to be a Taekwondo national.
And while they were here, they always wore masks.
Just get the damn vaccine.
Now, this story caught my attention because there are a lot of people who have an idea that if you're afraid of something like, say, if you're afraid of dogs, the best way to handle it is to go ahead and confront it. This situation shows you why that may not necessarily be the best idea.
I don't want to see any dogs because, I'm afraid for this to happen again.
On Friday, Mohammed Almataz Azgul was finishing up at Black Belt World, the Taekwondo studio he trains at. He says there was a dog at the facility that belongs to the owner. Azgul says he was approached by his instructor.
And asked me if I'm scared of dogs. So I said yes. So he told me to overcome my fear and get close to the dog if I want to be a Taekwondo national champion.
The 13-year-old says he felt pressured.
I wanted to prove him that I can be a Taekwondo national champion. So I got close to the dog and looked at him. I looked at him and he jumped on my face and bit it.
His father, who was at the studio waiting for him, says he heard his scream and came running.
So when I see his face bleeding and a lot of blood in his face, I was so terrified.
Black Belt World's president is listed as Tommy Chang, who owns Blue, the 1-year-old American bulldog Muath Azgul says attacked his son. Blue recently made headlines after being seized by Vaughan Animal Services last month over suspicion he was a pit bull, which is a prohibited breed in Ontario.
We are not against dogs, or we are not against, their dog. We are not against, these people. We are against, we need to some respect, okay, to respect, our feeling.
Muath is calling for regulation that would prevent dogs from being present at facilities where children train. In a statement to Global News, the Chang's lawyer says, given that the circumstances are currently being investigated by the Toronto Police Service, it would not be appropriate to comment on the facts of the incident at this time. However, you should know that Mr. Chang has and will continue to fully cooperate with the investigation. Vaughan Animal Services tells us they received a report about the alleged incident, but declined to comment further because it's currently being investigated by Toronto Police. What they did say, they have not seized the dog.
I don't want scars to be left on my face. And I'm having a lot of nightmares about the dog.
Mohammed hasn't returned to school yet. His next medical appointment is on Thursday, when he's scheduled to have his stitches removed. Shalima Maharaj, Global News.
Now we can hear from the owner.
Tonight from the owner of a dog that bit a teen boy just days after the animal was released by Animal Services. Tommy Chang told us he's heartbroken and wanted to explain his side of the story. Erica Bella is live outside the Taekwondo studio where the incident happened. Hello, Erica.
Well, Anthony, we spoke with Tommy Chang at his son's Taekwondo studio. He says the last few weeks have been incredibly difficult, and he explained his version of events.
When we went out to a family dinner, one of our sons, who was teaching at this facility, we decided instead of leaving him at home by himself, so he has anxiety and he was defecating and urinating in the house, that it was best to bring him here, put him in a back room. In this facility, we have a back room that you'll see. He was tied off in the back where he would have, my son would have access to him periodically to make sure that he's okay.
Now, earlier this week, we spoke with Mohammed Almataz Azgul, the student who was bitten by the dog. The teen says he was bitten after an instructor told him to face his fears, but Chang says that didn't happen. Deji, who is an American bully, was in the back room of the facility tied up. He says students were moving items into the back room when the incident happened. Deji bit the teen on his face, and he had to get several stitches because of it. Now, the dog has made headlines as of late after he was taken by Animal Services for several weeks over suspicion that he was a pit bull, which is a banned breed in Ontario. Now, Chang says he went to the hospital on the night of the biting incident, and he says he's also reached out to the teenager's family but hasn't heard back. Chang says he regrets what happened, and the studio will be enforcing a strict no-dog policy moving forward.
If I can turn back time, I wish this never happened. I'm a father. I have kids. I understand. Who would want this to happen with their children? So it's unimaginable. You have no idea what sort of pain I'm going through.
Now, after the incident, Chang says Deji has been moved up north and is being cared by a person who is very familiar with working with the breed. As for the future with the dog and the family, he says that remains unknown and they're still trying to figure things out.
So since I don't know the owner, I don't know the young man involved, I'm going to go from the assumption that it's true. I'm not saying that it is or is not because I don't know. If what the boy's saying is true, and again, I have no reason to see why he would lie, okay? I'm trying not to take sides here. I'm just going to say this. If this is true, this is not something that you should do in order to help a student get over their fear. I understand why somebody might do something like that because they may feel like, if we can get you to not be afraid with something like this, then you're going to have better nerves in competition. You're going to be tougher. This is about toughening people up, making them warriors, right? But this is the problem. As much as we call martial arts, they mean war arts. At the end of the day, we are civilians. Also, you're not supposed to get injured to the point of training to where you are deformed and you have disabilities. That's going to hinder your ability to be more effective. The training is supposed to make you stronger, not make you injured, not make you weaker, not be a hindrance. Okay? So, and to any young person out there, or anybody, period, if you feel like your instructor is making you do something that you are just flat out unafraid of, it is okay for you to say no. Especially something that is not related to the martial art or combat sport that you're studying. It's one thing for your instructor to say, get out there and face that opponent. I don't care how afraid you are. That's cool, in my opinion. Or even do certain exercises that are in the art or sport. That's okay depending on what it is. But to tell you to stick your face near a dog or to touch a dog when you are afraid of a dog, not a tiny spider that you can kill that's non-poisonous, not you're afraid of feathers and you're not allergic to a feather, so pick up a feather. A dog that has already been suspected of being a pit bull, and that dog looks pretty mean, can attack you. Animals are animals, and animals have feelings, and sometimes an animal could be in a bad mood. And it may not necessarily even be the animal's fault, because it sounds like there was a lot of stuff going on around the dog that could have upset him. So if somebody's afraid of a dog, don't make them pet the dog. Leave them alone. Leave that dog alone, okay? If you're going to try to get them to overcome their fear of an animal, I think you need to leave that to the psychiatrists or psychologists and counselors who are qualified to help people do something like that, who wouldn't suggest putting a child in danger where they could actually be bitten by a dangerous animal. Okay? So that's not good martial arts school practice. That's not something that happens all the time. And again, the owner of the dog says it didn't happen. The young man says it did. He's got the evidence on his face to prove that something happened. Even if it didn't happen that way, something happened and he was in danger by that dog. And we're just going to have to let the situation be investigated and let it be sorted out. So I don't want people going to the school and, bombarding them with whatever. This is just a tragedy all the way around. And what we can learn about it in the rest of the martial arts community is don't do something like this and don't let it happen. Thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this with people like to talk about the martial arts in peace. And as always, Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Homie, take a chance. Am I a victim of my circumstance? Do I have the groove that makes you dance? Something that's gonna smack you in the trance. Is it happenstance or real focus? You know that the rhyme that I got ain't